Hello and welcome to the Creepy Kiki, Pride's weekly dissection of all things that go bump in the gay night. For our very first Creepy Kiki, we're digging into Fear Street Prom Queen, the latest entry in Netflix's queer slasher series, which debuts on the streamer this week. Pride sat down with the new film's cast to discuss its 80s influences and if the new chapter lives up to the franchise's lesbian legacy. But first, here's a quick refresh on what came before. The original trilogy of Fear Street films, which are based on the book series by R.L. Stine, were directed by Lee Janiak. Over the course of 3 films, audiences learn the origin story of how a witch named Sarah Fear put a curse on the town of Shadyside back in 1666. Part 1 begins in 1994 and introduced teen exes Dina and Sam, played by Kiana Madeira and Olivia Scott Welch, who find themselves being stalked by the resurrected ghost of Sarah after they accidentally disturb her grave. The second took us back to 1978 and Camp Nightwing, a summer camp where Sisters Ziggy and Cindy Berman, played by Sadie Sink and Emily Rudd, faced off with a masked killer and discovered more of Sarah's tragic backstory. Finally, the trilogy wrapped by taking us all the way back to 1666 to uncover the true story of Sarah and the witch hunt that took her life and kicked off the curse. And twist, it's all very gay. Together, the films walk that perfect balance of being both a fun thrill ride of a supernatural slasher with deep commentary about class, moral panics, queer persecution, and ultimately the triumph of queer joy. So no wonder it absolutely dominated the summer of 2021 for queer fans who watched every week as each subsequent film was released. Naturally, anticipation is high for Fear Street Prom Queen now, and fans are curious about how well it lives up to and continues the trilogy's legacy. So let's get into it. The new movie comes from director Matt Palmer and marks the Scottish director's second feature film. In Prom Queen, we return to Shadyside. This time, the year is 1988, which means that the film takes place between the events of Part 1 and Part 2. This film introduces us to a new cast of doomed characters just days before their senior prom. At its bloody heart is outcast teenager Laurie Granger, played by India Fowler, who, in typical form for Shadyside, comes from a family that seems cursed with violence. By her side is her whore-loving, pot-smoking, and very queer-coded best friend, Megan Rogers, played by out-actress Susanna Sun. Against all odds, Laurie finds herself nominated for Prom Queen. The only thing standing between her and her coronation is the Wolfpack. Oh, and an axe-wielding maniac picking off the would-be prom royalty. But what really makes this must-see for queer horror fans is Megan, who is an amalgamation of 80s and aughts characters like Ducky and Watts with just a whisper of Janice Ian. So the question is, how queer is Fear Street Prom Queen? According to Sun, it's up to the audience to decide. I look at the world through rainbow-colored glasses. I know this about myself, but I did kind of feel like there was a romantic element to the Laurie-Megan dynamic. I'm curious if when you guys either were making the film or watching it back, if that's something that you picked up on, or am I just like wearing my tinfoil hat?
I think that's beautiful, and I wear the same rainbow glasses, so I get you, but I don't know. I think they are just best friends. I love that people are seeing that, and that's what art is for. If you want to see that, that's for you, then yes. But Matt and I talked about it as just best friends who love each other platonically and in such a strong friendship way. But I do see it, so yeah.
Okay, but one thing is undeniable, and it's that the film wears its 80s influences on its sleeve. And the cast leaned into that when they were crafting their characters. David Iacono stars as Tyler Torres, the object of Laurie Granger's affection. And, unintentionally or not, he also serves as a pseudo-romantic rival to Megan. For inspiration, he looked to one of the ultimate heartthrobs of the 80s.
Jake from 16 Candles, which is not a slasher movie, but, very kind of teen led film. I think he subconsciously influenced some of the choices I was making because their writing felt so similar in terms of how empathetic they were in ways that you wouldn't expect them to be. So yeah, I wouldn't say I made that choice, but it was up here.
The cast of the Wolfpack also looked to icons of the era for inspiration.
We've talked a couple times now about Heathers the musical.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I definitely pulled inspiration from there, even just overall theme inspiration. But for characters, the Wolfpack, there are a couple of Heathers, you know what I mean?
Yeah. For sure, Winona Ryder, Heathers definitely was my gal. Even look-wise too. I feel like Christy was more musicians. I feel like there were so many incredible icons in the 80s and female artists that like gave me everything.
Ultimately, it also shows that there's still plenty of room for stories to be told in this universe, and we cannot wait to see what delightfully gory and hopefully textually queer thing happens next. That's it for today. We hope you enjoyed this debut episode of the Creepy Kiki, and we'll be back next week with more highlights on queer horror. In the meantime, make sure you like and follow us for more queer news and pop culture content.